Well, Afghanistan as a nation on the rise in the world of cricket, they have risen. They stand tall in the group of death of the Asia Cup. They've put Sri Lanka and Bangladesh to the sword. They've brushed them aside and they've commanded a place in the Super Fours of the Asia Cup 2022. The first team to do so, and who will argue against them deserving it? They have beaten Bangladesh today in the end so comfortably. Bangladesh did have their moments in a chase where they had to try and defend 127. A couple of Zadrans came together and gave us arguably the partnership of the tournament so far, and that is the reason why Afghanistan are going to the Super Fours, and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh will have to fight for one spot in this group. We look back at that game and its exciting moments courtesy of Najibullah Zadran on Qatar Airways presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. We'll hear from Wasim, Jaffer and Shahriar Nafees in just a moment. Gaurav Sundararaman saw that game with me. That game ebbed and flowed as well until, well, I'd like to say out of nowhere, we saw Najibullah Zadran just storm his way to victory.
Yeah, great innings under pressure, and a lot was required when he came in, and he did in canter. In fact, they won with more than an over to spare, so excellent knock, and I think they paced their chase very well. Again, this is a problem with having a low score. You know, even though at the end of 10 overs they were less than 6 runs and over, they still managed to comfortably. They had to score about 74 runs in 50 balls, and they managed to do it fairly comfortably. One good partnership is enough, Raunak, in a low-scoring game, and that's what we saw in the last with the two Zadans. Yeah,
we saw the percentages, right? With Nabi's wicket, I think our win forecaster had Bangladesh at almost 78-80%, and Afghanistan at 40%. That effectively in a 20-day game like this is 1 or maybe 2 overs, you're saying, in 120 chase?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just saw that, right? A couple of sixes here and there brings the run rate down drastically. So I think Afghanistan also, you should give them credit that they didn't lose wickets, they didn't collapse, they didn't try to. In fact, they sent Nabi to kind of, I think, make sure Zadran plays in the end, because I think he's the man in form. He's the guy who can clear the boundaries. I like that move. It didn't come off. But at the end of the day, they got their objective that Zadran comes in and just smashes.
All right. There was some key overs of spin that had to be navigated as well. We saw spin was a far bigger threat today than pace. As we just look at the numbers too, between Mustafizur Rahman and Mohammad Saifuddin, they've conceded, I think, 57 or 5. That's an extraordinary amount of runs in a 120-odd chase. We'll come to Shahriar Nafees about that in just a second. Let's go to Wasim Jaffer first up, just to admire the two contrasting innings from the two Zadrans. Wasim, you had Ibrahim on the one hand play the anchor, and you had Najibullah play the quintessential power T20 finishers innings. How good was that?
It was very impressive. I mean, even Ibrahim Zadran played a perfect foil. He just, kept the chase right in the order, and then Najibullah Zadran came and did what was expected from him, what he is known for, and exactly what I spoke about the Bangladesh innings. Bangladesh would have probably batted in the same manner, 6 and over till about 15 overs, and then pushed in the last 5. That's exactly what Afghanistan did. They kept wickets in hand, and then the last 5 overs when Najibullah came in, they needed 50 plus in the last 5, but they made a little short of that chase. With that spectacular inning of Najibullah, Zadran kept on. He hit 6 sixes, where in the whole game you had only one other 6. So it goes on to show their power, and they timed the chase perfectly.
Shahriar, I wonder what you'd be feeling now if you look at that chase from the second innings. Bangladesh, if you narrow the game down, kept it to 43 of the last 4 on a day where both teams have struggled to bat fluently in the first 15-16 overs. Then came 39 runs of 2 overs between Mustafizur Rahman and Mohammad Saifuddin. Did they just lose the game there? And are you going to look at Zadran's batting, or are you going to say that was poor bowling from Bangladesh?
Afghanistan played the trick brilliantly. They kept wickets in hand. They knew they have the firepower when they needed. Till the 17th over, I felt the game was 50-50. But the bowling could have been better. When you are defending a total of 128, and the opponent needs almost 10 and 11 runs per over. I'm pretty sure that the captain believed that the bowler would have bowled a bit better. If you look at the sixes that Najibullah Zadran hit, those were very easy balls for him to hit. Those were length balls. I think the bowlers bowled in the first part of the match brilliantly, and Bangladesh needed a strong finish, but which they didn't get. But I will not take anything away from the batting tactic of Afghanistan. They kept everything cool. They knew that they have the firepower when they needed. They kept the wickets intact. And in any form of game, it is very important to have partnerships. And both the Zadrans did it brilliantly today. They kept themselves cool. They waited for the right ball to hit, and when the ball was there, they hit the ball very hard. You can say that Bangladesh were say 10 to 15 runs short, but you'll not get everything perfect in every innings. Bangladesh 128 in this wicket was not enough, but Bangladesh bowlers in the first part bowled brilliantly and gave a chance. But Saifuddin Mustafiz could have finished but bit better.
Okay, Wasim, what stands out about Najibullah Zadran's six hitting?
I think he just picks the right length. When he makes his mind up to hit, I think he goes. He commits himself to the shots, and he knows. Most of the Afghanistan boys, they've got power. When they connect, it stays hit. So yeah, he knows his job. When he's coming in the last 5 overs, he knows he has to go. And he's been playing, like I said. Most of the Afghanistan boys, they play T20 leagues around the world, so they know this format in and out. And Sharjah is not one of the biggest grounds. So you back yourself to hit, and I'm rightly, quite agree with Nafees Shahriar that Mustafiz and Saifuddin could have bowled better lengths, even Taskin for that matter. I thought they didn't use the York as well. They didn't even use the cutters or maybe the slower ball because the pitch wasn't easy to bat on. So a little bit disappointed with the Bangladesh bowlers, but the way Najibullah batted, even 10-15 runs, if Bangladesh would have scored, they won with 9 balls to spare, would have been easy for them. But got to give credit to Najibullah Zadran. He showed his power, he showed his versatility with his hitting. Even that shot, that short ball bouncer. We haven't seen that kind of shot for a while. It's probably the first time I've seen something like that.
Yeah, I think quite a few of us were excited when we saw him swat a six of a ball, which by all means should have ideally just been a wide or could have gone over the keeper's head. Shahriar, ever played a shot like that? Left-hand batter that you are?
Nah, I was never a big hitter of the ball. I preferred hitting boundaries rather than sixes.
Yeah, you're an elegant man. You're an elegant man. This is power that we saw from Najibullah Zadran. But let's just break that innings down. Tactically, we keep looking at decisions made by captains. We were quite impressed with Shakib bowling the first. It looked like Mehdi Hassan did a good job complimenting him. We saw Afghanistan spinners, JS, apply the brakes essentially. Did Bangladesh just run out of enough potent weapons? One more spinner and you would have thought maybe they could have made a game out of this? Or would you expect a Mustafizur Rahman to have had a bigger say on this game?
Mustafizur Rahman has been off the boil considering how he used to be a banker. He's not a banker anymore. In hindsight, I think people, maybe the teams didn't kind of read the pitch well. And Afghanistan didn't have to do many changes. They always have 3 quality spinners. So for them, it's not they always go with that set combination. I think Bangladesh maybe in hindsight could have played the more spin. And after watching this match, the more I see, I think most other teams like India and Pakistan will start targeting Afghanistan with spin. I think spin is their weaker suit. They play fast bowling really well. So that's something which we saw in both the games so far. So they were just not in control against Shakib. The first few overs they were struggling, and both the Zazai and Gurbaz I think liked pace on the ball initially. So I'm expecting more attack from spin versus Afghanistan. And Bangladesh, they did miss a trick there, but you can't blame that. It's easy to say that in hindsight. We've seen 200 go pretty common in Sharjah. So
I guess what we want to perhaps spend a little moment on, and this is not, they didn't lose this just because of their bowling. Bangladesh 127 proved to be below par, as Wasim Jaffer says. 145, 150 could have been below par of the way Afghanistan had batted. But Shahriar, you did say while we were looking at preview videos into this tournament that Mustafizur Rahman has gone off the boil a bit. Now it wasn't long in the IPL where he was commanding a place for the Delhi Capitals. He was keeping Andrik Noke outside. On a day like this when you expected pacers to take the pace off the ball or hit the deck, you think Mustafizur Rahman is going to be great. What's happened to Mustafizur Rahman? Why is he not the banker that Gaurav just pointed out he once was?
International cricket is hard. When you are new, You have some tricks, but nowadays everyone just picks you. They analyze you. In every team there is a guy who analyzes everything, and bowlers practices like that. So Mustafiz, when he came, that is totally my personal opinion. When he came, he had a brilliant, sharp in swing. So when he was bowling that in swing, and the batsman was like trying to defend that, and when he had that cutter, then he has two options, and he also bowled a brilliant Yorker and a bouncer. So he had four things. But at this moment, he is lacking of that sharp in swing, and Wasim bhai said rightly so. We haven't seen any Yorkers today. We haven't seen any slower bouncers. The balls he got hit 6 for, those were all left balls. So uh, back in his mind, he is a bit out of confidence, because when you are bowling all the balls you have perfectly, you have the confidence. At this moment, his Yorker is not pitching at the right spot, and when he's only banking on the cutter he bowls, and everyone will pick you. If you look at Nazibullah Zadran, he was standing still. He was expecting the ball to a cutter to him, and he just stand and hit, and he has the power. So Mustafiz at this moment, he has lost some of his variations, maybe due to lack of confidence, because I am pretty sure that he knows how to bowl those swinging Yorkers, swinging balls like both ways. He used to swing the ball both ways. We haven't seen this swing for quite a long time at this moment.
All right, fair enough. Now, how do we look back at Bangladesh's decision at the toss to bat first, Wasim? Now that we've seen how the pitch played out in both innings, how the result has ended up, how do we look back at it?
Well, I think probably Bangladesh maybe have given more thoughts to how Afghanistan plays, or their strengths, rather than probably when you don't know the pitch, it's a better thing to bowl first and chase down a score. So maybe they would probably think about it again and think that they made a mistake. Probably bowling first would have been a better option. So you know your target, and you can go about your chase in a manner that you would like to. So I think probably Bangladesh will feel that they made a mistake at that, because you don't know, you haven't played. Sharjah pitch is always a tricky one. You don't know what's a good score. So in those situations, I feel bowling first is always a better option.
Would you go with that, GS? That if you were the analyst in that Bangladesh dugout, you'd have said, no, we've got to bowl first.
It's tough one after the result, but I think what they did was right. They could have won this game. It's not like they got steamrolled. They were dominant. It was not a 134-1 kind of 12 over 13 over win. I think it was certain moments after doing what they did right. I think it was the last 3-4 overs where they look back, where they lost the match. I think they went by their strengths and they went by Afghanistan's weakness, and I think it worked for almost 37 overs of the match, or at least 17 overs of the game. It worked. And maybe they just failed to execute it. I don't think I'll do it anything differently.
All right. We may not revisit that toss decision harshly just yet. But Shahriar, just final word from you on the game itself. Was it Bangladesh's batting that has cost them this game rather than their bowling in the last four?
I will pick a line from Wasim bhai's comment in the first part. I truly believe Bangladesh made the right choice, batting first. But they could have been a bit conservative. They could have waited a bit. It was never 160, 170 pitch. If you look at the way Ibrahim batted, Bangladesh could have taken a bit time and had some wickets in hand. If Bangladesh could have scored somewhere on 140, I truly believe the match could have been, we could have seen a different result. Yes, just adding with GS, Bangladesh was in this game till last 3 overs. I won't mind Bangladesh batting first, because Bangladesh definitely they had been discussing this and they made the right choice, but the batting could have been a bit better. And definitely, if you want to win a match where you haven't scored much, you need better bowling performances.
All right. Well, it will make for an appetizing decision at the toss when Sri Lanka and Bangladesh come together. They've both had games that haven't gone their way initially, but what it tells us is that what was touted rightly as the group of death, because you know for in all likelihood that India and Pakistan will go through from Group A, that it would have been tough to pick between Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, whatever recent form is. The Asia Cup tends to be a different level, different standard, different intensity, but Afghanistan are sitting high and pretty at the top of Group B. So let's spend some time on that, shall we? Afghanistan, from being a team to enjoy watching, like, and hope that they do well, have clearly shown that they are the strongest team, at least in that group, and have brushed aside Asian powerhouses like Sri Lanka and in more recent times Bangladesh. So what do we put that down to? Is this just a T20 team that has more bases covered, players that are playing T20 at a higher level and caliber than, say, some of the Sri Lankan and Bangladeshis, GS?
For starters, I don't have to take my Excel sheet out to calculate net run rates.
Yes.
That problem is solved, thanks to Afghanistan. Yeah, I think the exposure. For our viewers, there's another Afghanistan under-19 player who's been picked up in the BBL draft, right? So that shows that this team has quality. They're getting inspired by the Rasheeds and Nabees, and they're coming in and performing at the highest stage. So I think they have a lot of exposure. They play T20 cricket all through the year, which is another big thing, and information gets passed within the team. And like Najibullah Zadran is very underrated. He's actually played these kind of knocks time and again. Just because we don't see him in the IPL or we don't see him in the big leagues, maybe teams don't plan enough, or maybe I think they're very confident at the moment, and they feel that they can beat Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even they can easily beat Pakistan also. India is the only team. They've taken them close 2 times. We've seen that in 2018 they tied, and in 2019 World Cup they were in a good position to win, but they were the ODI format. So they have to look at now all these oppositions as teams that they can definitely beat and go a step further. That's the next step for them. I think they know there are certain teams which we even, like, if you ask me personally, I had Afghanistan's favorites for both games.
Sure.
But again, when it comes to India and Pakistan, I still think they can challenge because their attack is very good against that Pakistan batting lineup, their bowling attack. But India as a team, I wouldn't put them as favorites.
All right, fair enough. Now, before I carry on the conversation with Wasim and GS, and Shahriar, fair to say they play a lot less international cricket?
Yes.
Their players therefore play a lot more league cricket?
Yeah.
So is that sort of adding up
And if
now?
they play international cricket, it's a lot of T20s.
Yeah.
So that also helps them.
Yep. All right. Let's go to Wasim Jaffer now. Clearly a powerhouse in Asia in T20 cricket. Wasim, of course, India and Pakistan will be more formidable opposition, you'd think. But Afghanistan ahead of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka at this point?
I think so. I think if you look at their team and the 2 games that they have played, they've got spinners, they've got that box stick, they've got good fast bowlers, they've got very powerful openers in both of them. They've done really well, and they've got very good middle order, somebody who can finish the games well as well. So they've got most of the boxes ticked for a good team. So you've got to respect them, and like GS has said, and I've said that all along, that these guys play around the leagues and they know this format in and out. So you got to put them in the top 3 along with India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Those would be my top 3, I think.
All right, Shahriar, I wonder if this is the format. When Afghanistan are full members now, but when they play Test cricket, you can see the gulf. When there's a 50-over tournament, again, there is a challenge perhaps.
Wasim hit the right point, especially the fast bowling. Fast bowling department has always been a weakness for them. They didn't have that kind of firepower and variations. They have good variations here. Left arm in swing, you have Naveen ul Haq, who kind of does variations, and excellent spinners, different kind of spinners. So yeah, I think they know how to they have fixed roles in the team as well. A 170, 180 target. Those are small challenges we have to see them start getting. Otherwise, I think they're okay.
Shahriar, I've got you back now. Let's come back to you now on Afghanistan's position in the T20 hierarchy in Asia. Sorry, Shahriar, I will. Yeah, I've got you now. Sorry, you can carry on.
Yeah. Afghanistan a brilliant T20 side. I totally agree with you. They play less test match cricket and play an opportunity to play around the world, and they have been playing T20 leagues for such a long time. They have a brilliant variation in terms of bowling. I still believe their bowling is better than their batting. They have some brilliant batsmen, but if you want to pick me, if you want me to pick aside from Afghanistan, I will definitely pick. They have a world-class bowling attack at this moment.
All right, it's a bowling attack that any side should fear, and India and Pakistan could very well be those two sides that they face up in the Super Fours. A number of experts, analysts had them as dark horses for the tournament. Their chances perhaps have only improved after the might with which they've played Sri Lanka and Bangladesh in the group stage of this Asia Cup. Right, that's pretty much a wrap. It's a big thank you to both Wasim Jaffer and Shahriar Nafees. More from them as the Asia Cup continues to roll on. Gentlemen, thank you very much. GS, that was fun. The Afghanistan story continues to get us excited, and GS he doesn't need an Excel sheet for net run rate. He does it mentally anyway, right? He's just a brilliant man with his numbers, and we will have his presence along with Robin Uthapaz in studio tomorrow as India and Hong Kong take the field back in Dubai in the Asia Cup. So join us for pre-match analysis just after the toss on Qatar Airways presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout.